Hello there, my friend. It is so good to have you here with me again. Tonight, we are going to explore something truly ancient and steadfast, the engineering of bridges from long ago. As you lie here in the dark, think of those silent arches and cables crossing rivers, while you are suspended in your own quiet space. So, adjust your pillow, let your shoulders soften, and breathe deeply. Now, let us begin our gentle descent into these stories. Tonight, I will guide you through the quiet marvels of ancient bridge engineering, with each fact delivered softly and one at a time. It is okay if you drift off as we wander through these stories. If these evenings help you unwind, consider subscribing so I can be here for you night after night. Now, let us begin. Imagine the Romans, centuries ago, shaping stones into a perfect semicircle. This arch was not just beautiful, it was a brilliant solution to hold immense weight. As the load presses down, the curved channels that force outward and into the ground like a gentle breath spreading through stone. The Pont du Gard in France is a quiet monument to this idea, its 3 tiers of arches standing in balanced harmony over the river. When you picture it, think of how each stone rests in place, a peaceful testament to precision and balance that has endured for 2,000 years. To build a bridge that could withstand the whispering currents of a river, Roman engineers invented cofferdams. These were watertight rings of wooden piles driven deep into the riverbed, creating a calm pocket within the flowing water. They would gently pump out the water, revealing the muddy bottom like a secret chamber open to the sky. In this dry space, they could lay heavy stone foundations, setting the bridge's roots firmly into the earth below the river. Imagine the quiet labor, the soft splash of water being moved, as they crafted a foundation that would stay steady for millennia. In ancient China, across wide and placid rivers, a different kind of bridge emerged. Engineers tied floating vessels together, side by side, and laid planks over them to create a drifting pathway. These bridge boats swayed gently with the current, offering a crossing that moved in rhythm with the water itself. You can almost feel the soft rise and fall underfoot, a dance with the river that made each journey a quiet dialogue with nature. It was a design that embraced the flow rather than fighting it, a lesson in humble engineering that served countless travelers. High in the Andes, the Incas spun bridges from the very grass beneath their feet. They wove fibers into strong cables, creating suspension bridges that stretched like soft threads across deep canyons. These pathways were more than engineering. They were a promise renewed each year in a community ritual where everyone gathered to replace the old grass with fresh strands. Imagine the scent of mountain air and the tactile work of hands intertwining fibers, ensuring the bridge remained lush and secure. It was a gentle, living structure that swayed with the wind but held families and travelers safe. Roman engineers discovered a magical material in the earth near Vesuvius, a volcanic ash called pozzolana. When mixed with lime and water, it created a cement that could harden even beneath the sea. This allowed them to build piers that descended into the depths and stayed strong for thousands of years. The secret was a chemical reaction that formed a crystal-like bond underwater, resisting the wear of time and tide. Think of those piers standing in the shadowy water, their bases holding fast, a timeless whisper of innovation that still supports ancient harbors and bridges today. Consider the keystone of an ancient arch, the most vital part, the final piece placed with careful precision at the very top center. This single, wedge-shaped stone locks all the neighboring stones into place, creating a peaceful state of equilibrium that gracefully supports the entire weight of the bridge. Standing beneath it, you might sense a profound quietness, a balance so perfect that the stones seem to be holding their breath in a timeless hush. The arch curves over the flowing river like a gentle rainbow of stone, a testament to the subtle genius of builders who understood the poetry of pressure and release. Each stone depends on that one central block, a silent anchor holding everything in a serene, suspended moment. The river continues its journey below, its soft currents weaving a lullaby around the unchanging arch. In the ancient world, bridges were often seen as slow-moving gateways, adorned with ornate carvings and small shrines to water deities. These details transformed a simple crossing into a meditative journey across the landscape. Travelers would drift across, their footsteps echoing softly on stone, surrounded by intricate reliefs that told stories of gods and rivers. A small shrine might invite a pause, a moment of gratitude to the spirits of the water, while the carvings depicted waves and fish, symbols of a river's bounty. Each step became a deliberate act, slowing the traveler into a rhythm of mindfulness. This made the bridge not just a path but a sacred passage, where the journey itself became a form of quiet reflection, weaving the human and the divine into a single, flowing experience. Ancient engineers carefully studied the scour of a river, the way water softly carves away the sand around a bridge pier. The silent erosion could weaken pillars, but to protect their foundations, they added pointed structures called starlings or cutwaters on the upstream side. These stone wedges allowed the current to glide past without disturbing the base, as if the water were gently parted by a calm, steady hand. The river flowed on, its energy diverted, leaving the pier in a bubble of stillness. Engineers watched the currents, learning the river's secrets, and then shaped stone into a form that whispered back to the flow. This delicate design ensured that the bridge would stand for centuries, rooted in a silent understanding of nature's persistent, yet graceful, force. Many ancient stone bridges were built with a slight arch, or camber, a subtle curve that ensured rainwater would gently drift off the sides rather than pooling in the center. This kept the pathway dry and serene for travelers, who could walk without distraction, their minds free to wander. After a soft rain, the water would slide away like quiet tears, leaving the stone surface clean and glistening under the sky. Travelers might not notice the curve, but they would feel its effect in the dry, solid path beneath them. The camber was almost invisible, a hidden kindness from the builders, ensuring that every step along the bridge felt secure and peaceful, a gentle rise that mirrored the natural sway of the landscape. The use of limestone and travertine in ancient bridges provided a warm, golden hue that blended softly into the natural environment. These porous stones weathered slowly over centuries, absorbing the quiet history of the lands they connected. As the sun set, they might glow with a honeyed light, their surfaces etched with the touch of countless seasons. Each tiny pore held memories of rain and sun, of footsteps and whispers, making the bridge a living chronicle. The golden stones seemed to drink in the light, sharing it back as a gentle warmth, and over time, it bore the patina of ages, a soft sheen that spoke of endurance and grace. It stood not as an intrusion, but as an organic part of the earth, a timeless thread woven into the fabric of the valley. Consider the Roman arch, a marvel of soft geometry born from the mindful arrangement of stone. Each piece is a wedge-shaped voussoir, cut with care to fit into a gentle curve. These stones press against one another, not with force, but with a quiet distribution of weight, sending the burden softly outward and then down into the earth. This collaborative embrace allowed roads to leap over wide, murmuring rivers, their paths suspended in a permanent, peaceful arc. Picture the ancient bridges, their spans reflecting in the water below, as the current hums a timeless lullaby. For centuries, these structures have endured, whispering stories of travelers and time. Travel now to ancient China, where the Zhaozhou Bridge still stands as a gentle whisper from the 7th century. Completed around 605 AD, its rare open spandrel design seems to breathe with the landscape. Instead of solid walls, small arches pierce the sides, allowing dappled light and drifting water to pass through like a soft sigh. This clever structure lightens the bridge's own weight, so it floats over the river rather than burdening it. During floods, the water flows peacefully through these openings, avoiding the angry pressure that might threaten other crossings. It is a quiet masterpiece, blending strength with an airy grace that still inspires wonder today. High in the Andes, the Incas wove their dreams into existence with nothing but grass. They braided thick fibers of ichu grass into strong, floating cables, creating suspension bridges that danced with the wind. Picture the Keystone Bridge, its fragile-looking yet resilient form swaying gently over a deep mountain gorge. These organic bridges were living things, renewed every single year in a quiet community ritual of weaving and connection. Families and neighbors gathered, their hands moving together to twist new cords, binding the past to the present. It was a serene act of renewal, a reminder that strength could be tender, and that community itself was the true thread holding everything aloft. Roman engineers possessed a quiet secret, a warm volcanic ash known as pozzolana. When mixed with lime and water, it created a concrete that could harden even beneath the waves, like a slumbering fire that awakened in the deep. This waterproof material allowed them to build sturdy piers that rested silently on the riverbed, their foundations embracing the soft currents of the Mediterranean. Picture the clear blue water, the dappled sunlight filtering down to these ancient columns standing in calm endurance. They resisted the erosion that salt and time bring, their strength growing with each lap of the sea. It was as if the earth itself conspired to hold these structures forever, in a gentle, perpetual hug. At the very heart of every ancient arch lies a humble yet profound secret: the Keystone. This is the final stone, placed gently at the very top of the curve, like the last piece of a celestial puzzle. Once this stone drifts into place, it locks all others together in a peaceful embrace, each voussoir leaning into the next with mutual support. Imagine the moment when the scaffolding was removed and the arch stood on its own, a silent symphony of balanced forces. The Keystone grants the bridge its permanent strength, a quiet crown that transforms individual stones into one unshakable unity. It is a beautiful reminder that sometimes the most enduring power comes not from standing alone, but from resting together, perfectly held. Imagine a medieval stone bridge, not just a crossing, but a narrow street alive with small shops and cozy dwellings built right into the walkway. Travelers could wander through this quiet marketplace, the sound of water below mixing with the murmur of merchants. Each step along the bridge offered a new glimpse into daily life, from the baker's warm oven to the tailor's colorful threads. The bridge became a destination, a place where journeys paused and stories unfolded. Beneath the arches, the river flowed gently, reflecting the soft light of lanterns that lined the path. It was a world suspended between two shores, where community and commerce danced quietly above the shimmering waters. Think of the ancient Persians, who engineered qanats, those gentle underground channels that acted like hidden bridges for water. These softly sloping tunnels carried life-giving water from mountain aquifers to distant fields and villages. The earth above shielded the cool liquid from the relentless desert sun, preserving every precious drop. Walking above, you would never guess at the quiet marvel beneath your feet, a river flowing in the dark. Qanats were a testament to human ingenuity, a delicate balance between nature and need. They whispered a secret promise of survival across the arid lands, a silent bridge for water in the heart of the desert. Picture builders from ancient times, constructing cofferdams to create a dry and quiet space within the water. They would drive wooden piles into the riverbed, forming a sealed enclosure before pumping out the water. Inside this protected area, the air was still and the ground was firm, allowing foundations to be laid with precision. It was like building inside a gentle bubble, safe from the river's constant flow. Once the work was complete, the cofferdam would be removed, and the water would return, flowing calmly around the new structure. This ancient technique turned a restless river into a patient partner, enabling construction where once there was only depth and current. Consider the cutwaters, those soft, pointed edges of bridge piers that gently part the river's current. These designs ensured that the water flowed around the stone in a smooth, rhythmic motion, reducing pressure on the structure. It was an elegant solution, mimicking the way a bird's beak cuts through air or a fish glides through water. By directing the flow, cutwaters protected the bridge from erosion and the full force of floods. They turned the river's energy into a dance, a continuous embrace that strengthened the bridge over time. Even today, you can see the wisdom in those stone edges, standing firm and graceful against the moving water. Reflect on how the material choice for early bridges often mirrored the surrounding landscape, using warm limestone or soft sandstone. These stones were quarried from nearby hills, their colors echoing the earth and rock of the valley. Over time, they weathered slowly, acquiring a patina that made the bridge feel like a natural extension of the land. Moss and lichen might softly claim the surfaces, adding gentle hues of green and silver. The bridge didn't intrude, but rather settled into the curves of the terrain, as if it had always been there. It became a quiet landmark, a testament to building in harmony with nature, where the human hand and the geological past whispered together in stone. Still drifting with me? That's fine, you can let go. But if your mind is still wandering through these ancient stones, there's something beautiful about that. If you're enjoying this, a like helps other night owls find their way here too. Consider the Roman arch, a masterpiece of gentle physics that has held up the sky for centuries. The secret lies in wedge-shaped stones, known as voussoirs, fitted together like a puzzle of the earth. Each stone transfers weight downward and outward, creating a steady, floating sense of permanence across wide river valleys. This design allowed bridges and aqueducts to endure, their arches curving gracefully over the landscape. Close your eyes and see the shadows they cast, long and soft in the evening light, a testament to how ancient minds harnessed gravity with such tender precision. Now travel to ancient China, to the Zhaozhou Bridge, a whisper from the year 600 AD. This bridge holds a rare open spandrel design, with small arches nestled within the main structure, like eyes that let the water see through. During floods, these openings allow the current to flow through peacefully, without resistance or roar. The sophisticated geometry reduces the bridge's overall weight, while creating an elegant, airy silhouette against the sky. Imagine standing beneath it, the light filtering through those secondary arches, soft and patterned on the water's surface. It is a testament to harmony, where human craft meets the gentle rhythms of nature. Now drift to the Andes, where the Incas wove breathtaking suspension bridges from simple grass fibers. These flexible walkways drifted softly over deep canyons, swaying gently with the mountain breezes. Made from ichu grass, meticulously twisted and braided, they carried travelers across voids where rivers murmured far below. Every year, communities came together to renew these bridges in a communal ritual, a cycle of care that kept the woven paths safe and strong. Envision the scene, hands working in unison, passing fibers like a quiet offering, the bridge becoming a living thread between the earth and the sky. Feel the trust in each step, the bridge absorbing your weight as naturally as a branch flexes in the wind. It was a gift of engineering, but also a gift of community, woven with the same patience that spins the seasons. Roman engineers discovered a secret in the warm volcanic ash of Pozzuoli, near the Bay of Naples. They mixed this ash with lime and water to create a concrete that could set and harden even while submerged under quiet currents. This pozzolanic innovation allowed piers to be anchored firmly into riverbeds, embracing the water as an ally rather than a foe. Vast bridges emerged from the mist, their foundations locked in a gentle chemical bond that strengthened over centuries. Picture the underwater calm, the concrete slowly curing in the cool darkness, a silent symphony of minerals and patience. It was a gift from the earth, transformed by human hands into lasting monuments. Finally, let the Pont du Gard in France rise before you, an engineering marvel of pure precision. The limestone blocks were carved so accurately that they fit together without a single drop of mortar, each stone resting against its neighbor in perfect trust. The bridge maintains a whisper-thin gradient, a slope so slight that water glides smoothly toward the city of Nimes by the sheer force of gravity alone. Hear the faint murmur of the aqueduct, a continuous lullaby flowing across the arches. In the moonlight, the bridge casts a shadow that seems to float, a testament to how simplicity and skill can create something that feels eternal.
In the ancient world, the keystone was the heart of every arch. It was the final stone, placed at the very top where it locked all the others into a perfect, peaceful equilibrium. Once the keystone was set, the structure became self-supporting, resting in a state of deep, timeless balance. The weight of each stone found its home, pressing gently into the hole. There was a profound stillness in that moment, a silent agreement between earth and craft. Imagine the ancient hands, worn and wise, setting this last piece with infinite care. Then the soft settling, a breath held and released, as the arch became whole and self-sustaining. The stone gateway stood in quiet confidence, holding the sky and the earth in a gentle embrace.
Across the arid lands, ancient Persian engineers brought life with the Qanat system. They built small, arched bridges to support subterranean channels, cradling the water's gentle journey. This life-giving flow traveled softly through the desert, a secret stream beneath the sand. Where it surfaced, the quiet sands bloomed with greenery, a slow, green whisper in the silence. The arches stood like quiet guardians, directing the water's path with infinite patience. The water was a thread of coolness in the heat, a rhythm of renewal that turned barren soil into a living tapestry. Feel the soft trickle, a lullaby for the parched earth, a promise of life in the stillness. It was a sacred rhythm, a dance of water and stone. In the river's heart, ancient Rome created miracles of stillness with cofferdams. Workers drove double walls of wooden piles deep into the riverbed, then pumped the water away from between them. This formed a dry, quiet space encircled by the river's roar. Inside, the air was calm and controlled, a sanctuary for construction. Massive stone foundations grew slowly, stone by stone, in this pocket of peace. The river raged on outside, but within, there was only the soft sound of human hands at work. It was a steady, patient melody, a temporary temple where the wild current was held in a gentle embrace. The Cofferdam stood as a meditation on order, a calm island in the flowing world. On many ancient bridges, small alcoves were carved into the stone, sheltered spaces for the weary traveler. These quiet nooks invited a pause, a moment of reflection amid the journey. The bridge became more than a simple crossing. It was a sanctuary of the spirit. Functional stone was softened by a touch of the sacred, offering rest to the body and calm to the mind. Imagine sitting there, the river's gentle rhythm below, the world outside slowing to a hush. The alcoves held a gentle light, a reminder that even in transit, stillness could be found. It was a place where the path and the soul could meet in silence, a gift of grace on the way. The bridge carried not only travelers, but their quiet moments and whispered thoughts. The gentle curve of ancient humpback bridges was a song of stone and light. The soft arc spread the weight of crossing carts in a flowing, rhythmic motion like a slow, steady breath. This curvature mirrored the natural landscape, the rise of hills and the fall of valleys. The stone seemed to melt into the drifting mist of the valley, becoming one with the air and the earth. As you cross such a bridge, feel the gentle rise and fall beneath you, a calming rhythm in the journey. The bridge was a meditation in motion, inviting you to move with the land. The bridge and the landscape breathe as one in the tender morning fog, a quiet harmony of form and mist. Let the soft arc carry your thoughts away into the peaceful haze. The Romans understood the quiet poetry of the arched curve, how weight could be guided downward, not with force, but with a gentle letting go. The semicircular arch they perfected uses wedge-shaped stones called voussoirs, each one leaning slightly into the next as if sharing a secret. In structures like the Pont du Gard in southern France, this design has held fast for 2,000 years, standing serene above the river. The stones do not fight gravity, they simply pass it along, until the burden slips softly into the earth. It is a lesson in stillness, a bridge that rests in perfect equilibrium with time. In ancient China, engineers found a different way to let things flow. The Zhaozhou Bridge, completed over 1,400 years ago, rises with an open spandrel design that seems to float above the water. Small arched openings within the larger arch allow floodwaters to pass through gently. These openings reduce the bridge's weight, making it feel lighter. When you see it from a distance, the silhouette appears airy, as if it were suspended in a quiet breath. It carries the memory of all those who have crossed it, their footsteps a soft echo in the stone. This bridge has watched centuries of seasons change, its form a meditation on resilience and grace. Far across the world, in the high Andes, the Incas wove bridges from the very grasses that swayed around them. They braided thick fibers of issue grass into sturdy cables, crafting suspension bridges that danced softly in the mountain breeze. The Zhaozhou Bridge, one of the last of its kind, is renewed every year in a quiet community ritual. The old cables are unwoven, the new ones stretched across the gorge, and in this act of weaving, the people reconnect not just the land, but their own shared history. In the stillness of the high altitude, you can almost hear the fibers whispering in the wind. These bridges sway, but they do not break, reminding us that strength often comes from flexibility and care. The Romans also had a secret hidden beneath the waves, a concrete that grew stronger with time. By mixing volcanic ash with lime and water, they created a material that could bind like stone and endure the slow caress of the sea. Ancient piers built from this concrete rest calmly beneath the water's surface, resisting the pull of tides that would erode lesser materials. Over centuries, the minerals in the concrete continue to react, healing tiny cracks and forming new bonds. These piers have seen empires rise and fall, yet they remain, a quiet testament to the harmony between human craft and the earth. It is as if the stone itself is alive, a patient and ancient creature holding the harbor in a gentle embrace. And at the heart of every arch lies a moment of quiet tension, a single point where everything comes together. The keystone, that central stone at the apex, is the last piece to be placed. Until then, the wooden scaffolding holds the arch in a fragile balance, as if the structure is holding its breath in anticipation. When the keystone is gently drifted into position, it locks all the other voussoirs into a stable embrace. The load that once rested on temporary supports suddenly finds its path downward, and the arch becomes a complete, peaceful circle of support. It is a symbol of unity, where each piece relies on the others, and the whole is greater than its parts. Far beneath the sun-warmed desert, ancient Persian engineers created a hidden world of cool, flowing water known as the Qanat. These were not ordinary channels, but gentle subterranean rivers guided by hand-dug tunnels and quiet stonework. The air within was always calm, held at a perfect coolness by the earth's own embrace, a soft breathing space carved patiently from the rock. As the water traveled, it seemed to whisper through the darkness, offering life without disturbing the silence of the sands above. It felt like a secret gift moving slowly, steadily, a dream of refreshment held in the earth's quiet heart. In the early Mayan world, builders shaped a special kind of arch, the corbel arch, that reaches upward with a soft and steady intention. Stone by stone, each layer leaned slightly inward, like petals closing into a narrow point at the summit. Walking through these sloping passages feels like a slow, gentle ascent, a quiet climb that doesn't rush but simply draws you higher. The light falls softly through the opening, and the stones guide your footsteps in a peaceful rhythm, as if the structure itself is breathing. It is a tender invitation to rise toward the sky, one careful stone at a time. Deep below the flowing rivers, long ago, builders placed a forest of wooden pillars into the soft riverbed. These massive timber piles were driven down through the silt until they found a place of perfect stillness, far from the moving current. They became a hidden, invisible foundation, a silent root system that holds the weight of the stone world above. Standing unseen in the cool, wet darkness, they steady everything, allowing grand bridges to rest securely over the water's constant motion. It is a quiet act of trust, a lasting embrace between the earth and the structure that floats so calmly above. On ancient bridge piers, you might notice a gentle, pointed shape cutting the water, called a cutwater. These stone edges face the current and softly part the river's flow, like a hand smoothing a fabric. Instead of pushing hard against the stone, the water is invited to glide around in a smooth, rhythmic dance. The river continues on its way, almost undisturbed, murmuring softly against the pier's graceful form. It is a quiet understanding between the builders and the river, a design that allows the bridge to stand in peaceful harmony as the current passes, unhurried and serene. The beauty of these old bridges often echoed the land they sprang from, using local limestone or granite that felt as old as the hills themselves. These stones, shaped and placed by careful hands, seemed to grow from the earth like a natural ridge, blending softly into the surrounding slopes. There is no sharp line where the hillside ends and the bridge begins, just a seamless union of rock and purpose. In this way, the structure rests in a kind of stony slumber, bridging not just two shores but two parts of the same quiet landscape. It is a silent dream connecting distant edges, a tender joining that feels eternal and perfectly calm. Close your eyes and picture a gentle arc of stone, resting in the air so quietly, it seems almost like a dream. The Roman arch was built with wedge-shaped stones called voussoirs, each one leaning softly into its neighbor, creating a silent bond that holds the whole curve together. The weight from above flows down through these stones like a gentle whisper, pressing them tighter and then spreading the load into the waiting earth below. This simple arrangement allowed for vast open spaces that have endured for centuries, resting peacefully through countless seasons of sun and rain. Today, those ancient arches still stand, their smooth lines a quiet reminder of how patience and precision can shape something that lasts beyond time. Think of a bridge that breathes with the river, its sides open like windows to let the water pass through. In ancient China, the Zhaozhou bridge was crafted with an open spandrel design, where elegant gaps allowed floodwaters to drift gently through its structure. This clever engineering, finished over 1400 years ago, meant that the rushing currents found less to push against, reducing the pressure on the bridge itself. The water could slip softly by, flowing around and through these openings, preserving the bridge's graceful silhouette for centuries. It still arches over the river today, a quiet curve that has watched the waters rise and fall in endless peaceful cycles, as if time itself moves with the stream. High in the Andes, where mists cling to the mountains, slender bridges of woven grass span the deep canyons. The Incan people crafted these suspension bridges from the tough fibers of local grasses, braiding them into soft swaying paths that float above the chasms. Each year, the community would come together in a quiet ritual to renew these bridges, weaving fresh strands into the old, keeping the fibers strong and supple. Imagine walking across one, feeling the gentle bounce and swing under your feet, while the clouds drift below you in a silent dance. These bridges were living things, mended with care, so that travelers could cross safely, their passage a soft breath in the mountain air. Beneath the quiet surface of ancient rivers, Roman piers rest in a deep, silent sleep. They were made from a special concrete that used pozzolana, a fine volcanic ash from the Italian earth. When mixed with lime and water, this ash created a warm living paste that could set even underwater, growing stronger with each passing year, as if the river itself nurtured it. It is a silent alchemy where the volcanic powder and the water slowly fuse into solid stone, a process that happens in the dark unseen. These massive piers still sit there now, cradled by the current, their enduring weight a calm anchor in the flowing stream. In the lush rainforests of the Maya, bridges were more than just crossings. They were quiet guides through a sacred landscape. The architects used natural limestone and carefully placed fills to create pathways that blended with the earth and sky. These bridges led visitors through the deep green jungles, over small streams, and into open, serene plazas where the stones seemed to breathe with the forest. It was a design that respected the soft vitality of the plants around it, allowing the built world to rest gently within the natural one. Even now you can feel that harmony, a quiet invitation to wander slowly and let the peaceful surroundings embrace you. Deep within the soul of every ancient bridge lies a quiet secret. It is the keystone, the final piece of the arch, cradled at the very top. When the builders gently set this stone in place, a transformation occurs. The weight of the other stones suddenly finds purpose, leaning inward to create a mutual support. It is like a silent agreement among the rocks, an embrace that has lasted centuries. The bridge breathes a sigh of balance, becoming more than just a structure. It becomes a standing meditation on stillness and trust. Long ago, in the sun-baked plains of Persia, another form of quiet engineering was taking shape. The canats were underground channels, tender veins in the earth, designed to carry water across the arid lands. Small bridge-like supports held their paths steady, guiding a slow and endless drift of moisture. The water moved with no rush, just a smooth journey through the dark, delivering life to every thirsty root. Imagine that secret river whispering beneath the desert, a rhythmic gift in the stillness. Far away in France, the Pont du Gard stands as a testament to patience and precision. This majestic bridge was built without any mortar, the stones cut so perfectly that they rely only on their own heavy weight. 3 tiers of arches rise up in a calm and steady rhythm, each one resting on the other in serene hierarchy. The limestone glows softly in the sunlight, a quiet reminder that true strength often needs nothing extra. It floats across the valley, a silent poem of endurance. To shape these eternal arches, a temporary helper was used. The wooden centering cradled the stones during construction, a curved frame that held the weight in a soft embrace. Piece by piece, the arch was built until the keystone was settled in its crown. Then the centering was drifted away, like a fog lifting from a river. What remained was the bridge's floating strength, revealed in gentle independence. It stood alone, a quiet breath of engineering, holding the sky with its own bones. Many of these ancient bridges were crafted with a subtle curve, a soft hump in their back. This gentle geometry was not just for beauty. It helped spread the load naturally, like a calm hand distributing weight across the span. The bridge takes on a wave-like appearance, an echo of the water flowing beneath. These curves create a lullaby of motion, frozen in stone, where gravity and grace meet in a quiet embrace. The bridge seems to sway in a timeless rhythm, reflecting the slow pace of the world below.
Still here. That's so lovely. These ancient arches and drifting waters, they can carry you into a deeper peace, just like a gentle current. Rest now, I'll keep weaving these quiet stories. The Roman arch was a quiet marvel of ancient engineering, a gentle curve of stone that rested upon the air itself. Imagine wedge-shaped stones, called voussoirs, carved with such precision that they needed no mortar to hold their embrace. Each voussoir leaned softly into its neighbor, pressing together with a quiet, shared strength. This simple arrangement allowed the bridge to carry immense weight, channeling the force downward and outward into the peaceful riverbanks. It was a dance of gravity and rest, where every stone found its eternal place in the stillness, like a thought held in a long, soothing breath.
In ancient China, the Zhaozhou Bridge appeared as a floating dream across the water, built around 600 AD with a wisdom that still hushes the breeze. Its unique open spandrel design was a stroke of elegant genius, creating smaller own-sized arches within the larger span. These graceful openings allowed floodwaters to pass through with ease, like a calm sigh passing through stone lips. The bridge stands today, a silent testament to the sophistication of early Eastern architecture, where function and beauty intertwined. It remains a still moment in the flow of time, a stone ribbon laid softly over the river. Roman engineers held a warm, gray secret in their hands, a volcanic cement called pozzolana that seemed to breathe with ancient fires. This mysterious powder, when mixed with water, created a bond that could set and harden even under the cool waves of a river. It was a magic of earth and fire, allowing their bridges to rise from the depths with unwavering grace. Many of these silent crossings still stand after 2 millennia, their stones embraced by a substance that grew stronger with the passing ages. They are quiet watchers over the flowing world, holding fast in the gentle currents. High in the Andes, the Inca Empire wove dreams into the mountain air, crafting suspension bridges from tender grass fibers. These paths seemed to drift over deep chasms, swaying with the hum of the wind, a thread of life between stone giants. The bridges were not built once and forgotten, they were lovingly renewed every year in a communal ritual of care. Communities gathered, their hands working in a soft rhythm, weaving fresh strands to keep the path safe and alive. It was a cycle of service and connection, where the bridge became a living, breathing memory beneath each traveler's step. In lands where sands shifted like breathing dunes, ancient builders turned to a quiet, patient craft called cofferdams. These were temporary enclosures built with wood and earth, holding back the water in a tight, watery embrace. Within this dry space, they could pump out the river and work upon the cool riverbed, placing heavy stone foundations deep in the earth. It was a process of slow, measured intent, like the planting of a deep root in the silence. From these hidden depths, stability rose, ensuring that structures would stand as still as mountains through the long, whispering ages. Imagine the hands of ancient builders, carefully lifting the final wedge of stone into place high above. The keystone, the crown of the arch, sits softly at the very center. As it slips into its spot, a transformation occurs. Gravity, once pulling everything downward, now weaves the stones together. The arch becomes a self-supporting sculpture, locked in a peaceful, permanent embrace. It is a silent poem of balance, a secret whisper of weight and counterweight that holds everything still. On the upstream side of many ancient bridges, you will find a quiet, thoughtful feature called a cutwater. It is a soft, triangular stone that extends from the pier, parting the river like a gentle palm. The water in its constant flow is welcomed and guided around the bridge, its pressure eased, its spirit calmed. Instead of pushing hard against the stone, the river simply glides by, smooth and undisturbed. This tender design lets the bridge stand in stillness, harmonizing with the water's patient rhythm. In the south of France, the Pont du Gard rises in 3 graceful tiers above the river. This aqueduct bridge carries water with such a tender, almost invisible slope that the water barely seems to move. For every few hundred feet, the water drifts forward by just a single inch. It is a marvel of patience, a whisper of motion across stone. The ancient surveyors, with their steady eyes and quiet hands, shaped this gentle path, letting gravity guide the water on a slow, dreamy journey. The water flows so softly it seems to be dreaming as it travels. In the days of old, bridges were not narrow or rushed. They were built wide, to welcome the slow swaying pace of caravans and the gentle meander of grazing livestock. A bridge was a pathway suspended in space, open and airy, allowing travelers to move without haste. You can imagine a long line of camels crossing slowly, their hooves making soft sounds on the stone. The width gave them space, a feeling of freedom above the water below. Each step was a thoughtful one, a quiet moment of passage between two shores. Ancient bridges often seem to grow from the land itself. The builders used local stone, the warm, gentle hue of limestone, or the soft blush of sandstone. This allowed the bridge to blend softly into the horizon, like a whispered secret of the earth. There was no sharp contrast, only a seamless merging of stone and sky and river. The structure was designed to sit quietly, following the natural curve of the land, as if it had always been there. It was not just a crossing, but a harmony, a restful companion to the world's own deep peace. Picture the Roman arch in your mind, a quiet masterpiece of balance and care. The wedge-shaped stones, known as voussoirs, nestle together like old friends, each one gently passing the weight downward. This soft sharing of pressure creates a structure that feels almost effortless, as if the bridge is merely resting on the earth. Wide rivers are crossed with a grace that whispers of stability, a sense of permanence that has lingered through the ages. It is a design so serene that it seems to breathe alongside the flowing water below. Allow your thoughts to wander to ancient China, where the Zhaozhou bridge stands as a quiet dream. This bridge holds a gentle secret, the open spandrel arch, where smaller openings are carved tenderly into the main curve. These spaces lighten the bridge's weight, letting it hover softly over the water like a sleeping bird. During floods, the rushing waters find peace, drifting through these arches without struggle or strain. It is a design so considerate, so mindful, that the bridge and the river seem to coexist in a timeless dance. The whole structure feels like a lullaby, sung between the stones and the stream. In the high Andes, the Incas crafted bridges from woven grass, transforming simple fibers into floating pathways. These bridges sway gently over deep canyons, moving with the wind like a lullaby in the high air. Every year, the community came together in a quiet ritual to renew these bridges, weaving fresh grass with hands full of care. It was more than repair, it was a weaving of souls, intertwining the strength of nature with the collective spirit. The bridges became living entities, cradling travelers in a gentle embrace that hummed with ancestral love. They were a testament to how a community can hold each other up, softly, over the deepest divides. Deep in the riverbed, Roman engineers found a quiet magic with pozzolana, a volcanic ash from the warm heart of the earth. When mixed into concrete, this ash allowed the material to set and harden beneath the water, as if the sea itself was part of the construction. These foundations, born from fire and water, became as solid as ancient rock, cradling the bridge's piers in a serene embrace. The bridges rest there still, their feet held firmly in the depths, undisturbed by the current's murmur. It is a quiet scientific miracle, a marriage of natural elements that grants a sense of absolute peace and permanence. In the south of France, the Pont du Gard rises as a silent testament to delicate precision. Here, massive limestone blocks were laid without any mortar to bind them, carved with such exactitude that they simply rest against one another. Gravity is the only glue, pulling them into a peaceful, timeless embrace. Each stone holds its neighbor with a quiet trust, as if they have been having a soft conversation for over 1,000 years. The bridge arches over the river like a gentle exhale, its form so stable and serene that it feels like a natural extension of the earth. It is a reminder that true strength often lies in simplicity and perfect harmony. Let us drift into the quiet world of ancient bridges. Long ago, builders shaped the river itself with wisdom. They added soft, rounded stones called starlings to the piers. These gentle forms guided the current around the bridge like a quiet hand. The water did not churn or swirl angrily, but flowed past in a peaceful stream. It was a tender conversation between human craft and the river's ancient path, allowing the bridge to stand in harmony with the flowing waters. In the ancient world, the Keystone was the final piece placed at the very peak of an arch. It locked all other stones into a state of serene equilibrium. Once the Keystone settled into place, the bridge became a self-supporting sanctuary of balance. Feel the stillness of that moment. Each stone leans into the next, finding support in perfect tension. The arch stands not by might, but by a graceful arrangement of trust. This simple stone transforms a pile of rocks into a breathing structure, a quiet monument to harmony. Many ancient bridges were designed with a gentle hump, known as a camber. This soft curve helped shed rainwater and distributed the load evenly across the structure. The arc creates a rhythmic, undulating silhouette against the horizon. As you gaze upon such a bridge, you see a gentle wave frozen in stone. It rises and falls like a quiet breath, connecting two shores with grace. This hump also ensures that water flows off easily, keeping the path dry and safe for travelers. The bridge becomes a subtle curve in the landscape, a whisper of shape against the sky. Deep beneath the canals of ancient Venice, a hidden world exists. To support the bridges, builders drove long, slender trunks of alder and larch into the soft, silty clay of the lagoon. These timber piles remain preserved in the oxygen-free mud, undisturbed and ageless. They stand in a quiet underwater slumber, holding the city up from the depths. The wood does not rot here, but rests in a perpetual state of suspended life. It is a silent foundation, a forest of pillars that dreams beneath the flowing waters, keeping Venice afloat with gentle strength. Ancient bridge walkways were often paved with smooth, weathered cobbles. These stones felt cool and grounded beneath the feet of travelers, a direct connection to the earth. The cobbled walkway mirrors the slow pace of ancient life, where each step was measured and deliberate. The gentle unevenness of the stones guided wanderers softly from one shore to the next. Over time, the cobbles became polished by the passage of many souls, bearing the quiet history of human movement. This simple paving invites a serene journey, a meditative stroll across the water. The Roman arch stands as a quiet marvel of ancient balance. You can feel it in the cool touch of the stone. Wedge-shaped stones, called voussoirs, pressed together in a soft, curving line. Each one leans into the next, sharing the weight like a gentle sigh. There is no struggle here, only a deep, slow distribution of force. Bridges span wide rivers, so light and graceful, with no need for heavy walls. The load flows down, outward, into the patient earth. It is a whisper of geometry, holding the silence for centuries. This arch is a dream of stone, still and certain under the sky, and in that stillness you can hear the river flowing softly beneath. In the quiet landscapes of ancient China, the Zhaozhou bridge dreams with an open spandrel design. It feels so light, despite the weight of years. Small arches nestle within the main structure, like birds in a soft nest. This elegant choice reduced the load, allowing floodwaters to flow through peacefully. Over 1,400 years, the bridge has endured, a soft, enduring whisper over the water. Feel the cool mist, the gentle curve of stone. The water passes without harm, a fluid dance of safety. This ancient wisdom floats in the landscape, carrying silence like a treasured memory. The bridge breathes in the still air, a quiet testament to patience. It is a lullaby sculpted in stone. The Inca Empire wove floating bridges from soft ichu grass. These bridges were suspended across deep mountain gorges, so high and quiet. The cables are organic, warm to the touch. Every year in a community ritual, they replace them. Hands braided the fresh grass, a silent ceremony of care. This ensured the paths remained secure, drifting above the misty valleys. The bridges sway slightly, like a lullaby in the wind. Feel the damp air, the yielding grass. It is a sacred thread, connecting shores in a soft, steady embrace. This ancient weaving holds the mountains in a quiet, floating dream. The mist wraps around them, a soft blanket. Each bridge is a whisper of community, renewed with love and hope. Roman engineers discovered a quiet secret, mixing volcanic ash with lime. This mixture, called pozzolana, creates a waterproof concrete. It sets slowly, even underwater, a patient transformation. Imagine the dark, cool deep where piers grow from the sea. They become still and steady, a foundation for ages. The concrete breathes in its stony sleep, a lasting whisper from ancient hands. It holds the weight of tides, so silent, so vast. Feel the coolness of the deep, the slow setting of stone. This ancient recipe loves water. It binds in an eternal embrace. A quiet anchor, holding time itself. The volcanic ash, warm from the earth, meets lime in a gentle union. This concrete sleeps, but it is alive with strength. The Pont du Gard in France floats with the precision of ancient geometry. It curves slightly, a gentle arc against the current. This curve resists the pressure of the Garden River, a soft dialogue with the water. 3 tiers of arches grace the landscape, light and airy. They once carried fresh water in a steady, quiet stream to the city of Nîmes. Feel the water flow, soft and constant, a whispered journey through stone. The bridge stands, a silent ode to balance, in the warm light. It is a poem in stone, a quiet marvel of engineering. The arches stack like thoughts of grace, and the water still remembers its path so sweetly. This bridge teaches the wind about gentleness. Feel the soft, deep touch of the Cofferdam, a watertight enclosure of wooden piles driven into the vast, quiet riverbed. Ancient engineers worked with slow, warm patience, pumping out the murmuring water until a dry, peaceful space emerged. In that still hollow, they laid the heavy stones of the bridge's foundation, each one placed with gentle, sleeping care. The silence was profound, a vast blanket where the bridge began its dreaming rest. These ancient hands shaped a sanctuary beneath the water's flow, a warm, dry cradle for the stones to softly slumber. This quiet act, this soft removal of the river, allowed them to work in a dreamlike stillness, building what would become a lasting, gentle path above the deep. Remember the Keystone, that final warm piece placed at the very top of an ancient arch. When it was lowered, it locked all other stones into a permanent embrace, a soft, deep breath held in the still air. The wooden scaffolding could then be gently drifted away on the slow current, leaving the bridge to stand on its own silent strength. The arch came alive, not with noise, but with a quiet, sleeping smile that held the stones in a soft, eternal kiss. This was the moment the bridge became a living thing, a warm, silent whisper in the vast, peaceful night. A single stone, placed with care, now carried the weight of all others, a silent protector resting above the water's soft lullaby. Now, feel the cutwaters, those small rounded piers on ancient bridges shaped like the bow of a ship. Their gentle curves pushed softly into the flowing water, guiding the current around the stone with a deep, quiet direction. The warm, smooth surfaces of these piers embraced the river's push, a soft, whispered protection that kept the bridge safe. The water parted with a muffled sigh, each wave a gentle caress against the sleeping stone. In the vast stillness, the cutwaters whispered of peace, their soft shape a breathing curve in the deep, dark flow. These stones were carved with a tender touch, so the river would not fight, but rather flow around in a warm, silent dance. Imagine the corbelling of early bridges where stones were layered slightly inward, rising like a soft, warm dream. As the walls climbed, they leaned gently, each stone a stepping whisper until they met in the middle. This created a silhouette of soft, rounded steps, a warm, earthen form that felt like a natural rock formation sleeping under the sky. It was a quiet, patient architecture, blending into the landscape so seamlessly that the bridge seemed to grow from the deep, still earth. Now let the world soften around you as we drift through ancient wonders, each one a cradle for your tired mind. Feel the Roman arch spread above you, a curve of warm stone in the dark. The voussoirs wedged together like fingers interlaced, distributing weight outward and down in a gentle sigh. Imagine the subtle shift of each stone, a quiet conversation of pressure that ends in a perfect calm. There is only silence here, a deep, still balance that has lasted millennia. This is a strength that does not press, but holds you in a soft, steady peace. The arch has no need to move, it simply rests. Rest now in its timeless embrace, a shelter from the passing nights. Shift to the Zhaozhou Bridge in ancient China, its open spandrels letting floodwaters flow freely through the sides. Hear the water whisper past, a cool, soothing sound, a hushed melody that breathes against your skin. The slender silhouette floats over the river, light as a breath against the sky. Built around 600 AD, it rests there still, a quiet miracle in stone and water. This bridge is a thread connecting you to a simpler time, a floating dream in the mist. Let its soft movement lull you deeper into the warm dark. High in the Andes, the Inca grass bridges sway with the mountain wind. Thick cables of woven fibers move in a slow, rhythmic dance, blending earth and air. The sway is a lullaby, a gentle rocking in the crisp mountain air. Each year the people renew these living bridges in a ritual of care and deep harmony. Feel the soft vibration underfoot, a connection to the vast, still peaks around you. Hear nature and humanity intertwine in a timeless cycle of renewal. Hear the wind carry the scent of mountain grass, a living whisper that says you are home. Under the Mediterranean night, Roman piers stand firm on the sea floor. Pozzolana, a volcanic ash, holds a secret fire that mixes with lime to form cement setting in the silent deep. This quiet alchemy allows structures to rest underwater, peaceful and unmoving. Imagine the thick, cool darkness around these stones, a sleep that holds the harbor safe. Feel the weight of the water above, a deep pressure that only brings peace. These piers have known the touch of centuries, each wave a gentle hand rocking you to rest in the still vastness. At last, let your eyes rest on the Pont du Gard in France, its 3 tiers of arches rising like a limestone song. Water descends just 1 inch every 300 feet, flowing in a slow, steady stream. There is no hurry here, only a gentle progression through stone that gleams in the moonlight. The arches stack gracefully, each level a softer note in the evening breeze. Breathe in this precision, this melody of calm, and let it carry you into a deep, warm sleep. Let the slow water soothe your thoughts, a liquid path to slumber. Now let these ancient things fade into the soft darkness. They are your cradle, your shelter, your sleep. As you sink deeper, let these structures be your guide. They are monuments to stillness, to endurance, to the soft power of rest. Surrender to the night and become one with this quiet. Drift away now into the vast, soft stillness of the night, where all is held and all is well. Now, let us sink deeper into the stillness, into the warm, quiet dark where ancient secrets whisper. Deep within the warm earth, Persian engineers crafted a silent wonder, the qanat. These hidden pathways, like bridge-like conduits, carried life-giving water across rolling terrain. The water drifted peacefully, a soft and steady pulse in the quiet ground. It flowed toward thirsty orchards, where the air hung heavy with the scent of blossoms. Each drop felt like a gentle whisper, a promise of growth in the still, sun-soaked land. The water moved with a patient slowness, like a lullaby for the earth, steady and eternal. And just as water flowed through hidden channels, the Keystone flowed into the arch. The Keystone was the final secret of the arch. Placed at the very peak, it slipped into place with a soft, final sigh. It locked all other stones into a quiet, permanent embrace, a holding that needed no words or force. Once it settled, the arch became a self-supporting sanctuary, a warm curve of stone at rest. The structure felt alive with balance, a silent song of stillness that endured through centuries. In the cool shadow of the arch, you could feel the deep, gentle strength of that one stone, holding everything together in a vast, unspoken peace. It was like a breath held forever, a promise of balance in the steady heart of the stone. From the ancient arch, we drift to the bridges that held life above the water. On medieval bridges, life bloomed above the water. Small, cozy shops and dwellings were built right into the stone walkways, creating a floating village atmosphere. The soft sounds of trade, the rustle of cloth, the murmur of voices drifted down to the river below, mingling with the gentle lapping of the water. From these tiny homes, the glow of candles spilled onto the stones in warm, golden pools. The air was thick with the scent of fresh bread and river mist, a soft, living blanket. It was a serene, suspended world, quiet and full of gentle breath, where every step echoed with the deep, still rhythm of everyday life. At night, the bridge glowed with soft lantern light, reflecting in the dark water, a warm pulse in the cool stillness. The wooden shutters creaked softly in the breeze, a gentle sound that merged with the river's hum. Before these bridges could stand, they needed a tender support. Before the arch could rise, a wooden cradle held it in a tender embrace. This centering technique was a temporary scaffold, guiding each stone into its curved, destined place. The stones rested, soft and heavy, waiting for the Keystone to lock them together. Once the arch was complete, the wood was drifted away, like a dream fading at dawn. The enduring stone curve emerged, self-supporting and still, a warm shape in the cool air. The Roman arch, a masterpiece of balance, pressed its wedge-shaped voussoirs together in a silent embrace of timeless strength. Weight flows along the curve, allowing rivers to pass beneath without a single grain of mortar. The Zhaozhou Bridge, ancient China's breath, opens its spandrels to let soft currents flow through. A segmental arch born 600 AD, it floats light and airy over the silent land. The Incas wove grass and fibers into suspension bridges, floating pathways high above misty Andean canyons. Each year, a peaceful community ritual renewed these fibers, keeping them strong and supple. Roman engineers harnessed warm pozzolana, volcanic ash, to craft concrete that set underwater, growing stronger forever. These foundations anchor massive stone pillars deep within the silent, dreaming riverbeds. The Pont du Gard descends 1 inch every few hundred feet, a precision marvel, guiding water softly while 3 tiers of arches blend with surrounding golden hills. Beneath the desert sun, ancient Persian engineers carved tunnels with gentle slopes, guiding water through cool, shaded passages where silence preserved every drop from evaporation. Through the rainforest canopy, Maya limestone causeways rose softly, white-plastered paths shimmering under moonlight as travelers moved in quiet harmony with the lush green around them. Medieval bridges transformed into floating villages, tiny shops and dwellings resting on stone spans, their gentle hum of trade mingling with the flowing water below in serene suspension. The Keystone sits at the heart of the ancient arch, a single central piece locking all others into equilibrium, bearing immense weight with a silent, steady grace. Bridge builders aligned their structures with the river's natural flow, allowing water to glide softly around the piers, preserving the serenity of the environment for generations. And with that, our exploration of ancient engineering settles into quiet. Your mind has journeyed far, from underground kanats to moonlit Sakbiob, and now it is time to let every image fade. If this helped you find rest, a like would be a gentle thank you, and subscribing means I will always be here, whenever sleep feels just out of reach. Good night, sleep peacefully, and remember the keystone of your own calm holds steady now, in perfect, silent balance. Rest now, everything is exactly as it should be.